This is Donna with More Than a Review, and we are in Nashville at the CBA Unite conference, and I'm thrilled to be with Mark. And he is going to talk to us about some of the books he's written and his message of hope. And I think now more than ever, I feel like we all just want to have that hope. So go ahead and share just a little bit about yourself and about your books.
A little bit. Well, how much time do we have? Let's see. Hi, my name is Mark. I live here in Nashville, Tennessee. And, it's interesting. I moved to town to do music. And I moved here 25 years ago. And I started doing music, really, it's only been like 8 years ago. And as I started writing songs and performing them, people would say, "Oh, man, I love the hope in your music." And I was like, "Oh, really?" Like, it kind of surprised me. And what I didn't realize was subconsciously I had this incredible desire to know what hope was, and to know what it was for real, not just like a fingers crossed, like, I hope the Titans win this year, like something crazy like that, but like something like tangible, especially being a person of faith. Like, I'm a Christian, I come from a Christian faith perspective, and to say that my hope is rooted in God, like, what does that mean? And what can I actually have hope for? So everything that I create, all my music, all the books that I write, and my radio show, it's all based on this idea of let's break down hope and let's make it really practical for people, because it's so important. I feel like this world is just teeming with fear and chaos. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, it's just you got to turn off the TV. That's what it is, or like just get different doses of it so you're not just bombarded with it all the time. But that to me, the media is one of the worst sources of kind of breeding fear and chaos in us. And we desperately need each other to remind each other of the hope that we have, especially as believers.
Wow, very good.
Thank you.
So then tell us about, we have a copy here, the Live Hope Minute. So tell us a little bit about this.
Well, this actually came out of my 1-minute daily radio program, which is called the Live Hope Minute, also available as a free mobile app for your Apple and Android devices. But I started doing this 1-minute daily radio feature about 3-4 years ago as an assignment to myself to really make hope practical, to make it real, and to give people just a daily burst of inspiration. And so as I progress with that, we've gone up to 500 episodes of that now. So I've been doing it a while. So I should have really my master's in hope is what I should have. But thankfully I have a publisher that said, "Hey, why don't we turn this radio content into an actual book?" So I could not be more proud of this. This is just it feels so good. Like, they did a really good job printing it. And it's something that you can hold in your hand, which as a book lover, I mean, some of you do ebooks, right? Which you can do that, of course. But sometimes there's just something about holding the book.
Yeah.
It's just like being with a person is so much better than just like texting somebody. It's very similar. So
yeah. And writing in it, underlining.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or like focusing on a phrase that you're like, wow, that's what I needed. Yeah. Why do I need that?
Yeah, very good, very good. So have you heard of readers already responding to it?
Thankfully, yes. Of course, there's still more yet to come. But the thing that most people say is, "Wow, that day, or that thing was exactly what I needed on that particular day," which to me is like a God wink. Have you heard of that God wink thing? Like it's God going, "I see you, and I love you, and I care for you," and sometimes it seems like God does more like little surprisey things more than like grand, like I'm going to give you $1 million. It's like it's the little things where God shows up and says that I love you and I care about you. And to be just a small conduit of that for people, to know that God loves them more than they can fathom or even remember from day to day. What an honor. So.
Wow, very good. So I noticed on your website that you also do a prison ministry, and I was wondering if you could tell us about that and kind of what led you to that, because that's got to be tough in teaching hope there.
Yeah, well, that's a great question, Donna, because going in and teaching hope, you end up being taught hope there. Kind of like what people say when they go on mission trips. It's like, well, we went to minister to them, but they ministered to us. I started going into a local prison here in Nashville about 23 years ago. We just did some music from my church. And one of the guys, one of the inmates that was helping us tear down and set up, he pulled me aside afterwards and he said, "Mark, would you be willing to come visit me and help me understand what it means to be a Christian on the outside so that I'm more prepared when I get out?" As you can imagine, I said absolutely. I said yes, and I began meeting with him on a one-to-one basis weekly, and it got so good. We just started really like growing and loving our time that we started inviting people. I brought people from the outside, and he brought guys from the inside. And over the course of 23 years, there was a lot of people that go in and out of that room, a lot of different guards, a lot of different wardens and chaplains, and there's really only been me and my buddy Brett, who's gone in with me, that when they literally shut down our prison. It's the weirdest thing. They shut down our prison, and we walked out for the last time, and just filled with gratitude for the amazing stories that God has allowed us to be a part of. At that beautiful place. And the idea of learning hope from these guys, when everything is ripped away from you, sometimes it's so easy to place our hope in our things and what we have. And there's something about having all that taken away from you that cuts you to the core, and allows you to say, what do I want my foundation to actually be? And so that was an incredible exercise for me. We could talk about prison forever, but because I should write a book about that, because there's so many beautiful lessons that I've learned, and experiences and stories that I've heard. The biggest thing, I'll tell you this, Donna, I used to judge people that you would see on TV. You'd see their mugshot, or, oh, this happened to this guy, and it's the worst day of their life, and they took a picture of him and then put it up on the news. And you know what? That's the picture that everyone thinks about, because that person they're kind of set aside and put away. And all we have left to remember is that final mugshot and that sadness of that day. And to become best friends with people that I've only previously judged is quite life-changing. It really sets me up to not be able to judge anybody else any longer. When people say, oh, I could love everybody except for, fill in the blank. Mm-hmm. Those are my buddies. Those are the ones I became friends with, and man, you learn to love and go, you know what, we are all in this together, and we're all so similar. We make different choices, different consequences, but in the core, we're the same. We're all children of God. Right?
Good, yes.
You know that. I know it.
Yes.
I can see it on your face.
Yes. All right, just a couple more questions.
Sure.
So, for readers and listeners out there that are not feeling that hope right now, what would you encourage them to do, as the first step to take kind of toward that?
Yeah, great question. First step to finding hope. I'm going to speak from personal experience, because I know hopelessness very intensely, and I think that's what has put me on this passionate route towards hope. But I know that hopelessness breeds in isolation. And I know that it takes all you have to come out of that isolation, because you don't want to bother people, with your feelings. You don't want them to think that you're too needy, all this stuff. But I tell you what, I'm certain that there's one person in your life that if you were to just say, man, could we meet for coffee or something on Tuesday? And I just want to hear your story. If you ask to hear their story, you don't even have to say anything. But sometimes it's just coming together. That's when hope shows up. So that would be the first step. But if I could add to that, because this is pretty serious. I know if somebody's watching right now and they're really struggling, I believe that hope has to be grounded in faith. For me, as a Christian, that's faith in God. Now, it might be whatever it is for you, but having my hope grounded in faith says that this life, this story is not all about me, that I'm actually a part of something bigger than me. And so while it feels like the whole story is about me, that's pretty selfish, and that's me saying that I've lost perspective. And so faith allows me to go, okay, the God of the universe who created me loves me incredibly and is telling a story with my life that I can't even comprehend. And what's interesting enough, this is really deep, but here's my deep thought. What am I? I'm such a dork. But it's deep when I think about it. If we look at the life of Jesus, it wasn't all rosy. He lived a very difficult life. He was beaten, and of course we know he was crucified just for being honest and being authentic. And then he died, but then history says that he death did not hold him down there. He actually came up from the dead. He experienced resurrection. Now, if God was to say, I want your story to be like Jesus, most of us would be like, no, thank you. I prefer to just go to Best Buy and, buy me a new stereo or something, But as Christians, we're literally saying, I'm willing to be a little Christ. I'm willing to be a follower of Christ. I'm willing to let my life follow the life of Jesus. And so that says that in the midst of what you might be going through, the trials, the pain, the separation, the brokenness, the disease, that's not the end of the story. That's the good news of this, that whatever it is right now that you're going through, God is in this, and he's not done with you yet. And there's hope for resurrection as well. So the resurrection might come today, it might come tomorrow, it might come after your own death even. But we have that great hope. So had to add that. I hope that's okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I think that's sometimes how we are able to make it through things that we do feel hopeless, because there's a bigger picture there.
Bigger story. And don't we grow the most through the hard times?
Yeah.
We really do. I mean, we learn the most, we grow the most, we struggle the most. Yeah. But man, we grow the most. So.
All right, so how about a fun question?
Yeah, sure.
What would readers be surprised to know about you?
I'm a dork for 80s music.
Oh.
I don't know, that would be too much of a big surprise, because that's kind of cool, right? I mean, for us at least, in my age. But I love 80s music, and when I'm feeling crappy, and when it's time for me to get a little lift, I throw on some good Lionel Richie, some Gloria Estefan, and I'm good to go. I mean, how crazy is that? So, but I love it. So if you ever around me, and we're gonna jam out to some 80s music.
Oh, that's awesome! I just saw REO Speedwagon in concert.
What?
Oh yeah, and they were amazing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Amazing. But yeah, I go to work and people are like, I don't know who that is. They haven't been born yet.
I can't fight this feeling any longer.
Oh my goodness, very good.
That's awesome.
So how about closing on what achievement are you the most proud of?
I would, this Live Hope Minute has been a huge project. And like I said, I feel like I should have my master's in hope. Because when I started to make the radio feature, it was just for 3 radio stations that I had a relationship with because of my music. And I sent them 5 sample days. I said, would you be interested in playing this? And they all said yes. And to which I went, oh. I went, okay, great. But that's a huge assignment to say every day from now until I don't know when, I'm going to create these. And so the fact that we have hit 500 episodes and that we're on 250 radio outlets around the U.S. and Canada, and that we've turned it into a devotional book and a mobile app. And by we, I mean me. If you're authors out there, it's all on us. We got to do it all. So sometimes I say we to kind of not talk about me all the time, but there's some great tools out there to help us. And sometimes we need just a little piece of equipment in our home to allow us to do some of these things that we dream about doing. So having the chutzpah to do that, I'm thankful that somehow that was instilled in me. So
that's awesome.
Thank you.
And I will include in our blog post a link to be able to download the app. So that would be
terrific. And any of my music, it's up on Spotify and iTunes. Oh, okay. Songs of hope, songs of encouragement. If you are one of those people that like to listen to your messages of hope, you can do that there as well. So let me know if you see this and you check something out. Please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Love to hear how you're choosing to live hope.
Very good. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you, Donna. This is terrific.